Do 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 do. Oh, hey, good morning, fellers. So listen, we finally got our pad built. Finally starting to get things done on getting a garage here put at the house. I think really the overview of this video is I'm just going to go with you, through here on what was done and how much was done and how much it cost me out of pocket for the things that I had done. So maybe that way it can help y'all with maybe you getting a garage put at your place. Now there's going to be a couple factors that come into play in this, and it's going to be one, where my property is and just how much they had to dig out. I don't really have a flat spot. All my yard is, pretty much not at a huge angle, but, at an angle. And that's just the perks of living in the mountains. Now, as far as, filming the whole process, I didn't do that. I pretty much just let the man do his job. And then I was just going to come and show y'all, basically what it looked like. Now, if you want to know what the property looked like a little bit beforehand, then you could probably go watch the video on the Bronco 2, because the Bronco 2 was actually set up against the trees, what I used to call the tree row, there for a while we was trying to get the head gaskets changed. And I think we even drove it a little bit, back where all the trees and everything were pushed down whenever they put my double wide in. So I think we're just going to go back through here. I'm going to show you all what this guy did and everything that, pretty much that he flattened out. And I think when we look at it, or at least to me, I was surprised with how big a spot I actually had. And he actually flattened out a bigger spot than what it, was supposed to be. And he really didn't charge me no extra money for it. So with that being said, that's enough talking on my end. If you haven't, before this video even gets to the good part, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share this out, smash that bell, jingle jangle over here, jingle jangle over there, do wop, who wop, tell them about me. But basically what I'm telling you is do whatever you can so that way more people can see more of this cornbread content that I'm trying to push out. Anyway, let's get to the video. All right, so coming in right here, basically right here in front is where the road is that runs to my house. If I was to come in right here, I would come in right there about where the camera's sitting at, because I have what they'd say a power pole, even though I don't think it has any power to it, but there's basically a power pole sitting here, and then there's a buried cable pole sitting over here. And right there would be my entry to coming in here. And then he basically had to cut all this out, starting right down there. And I mean, it was deep at the beginning. And then he had to basically shape this into like an angle swooping down. So whenever I come in, it won't be as sharp whenever I go into the entrance of my building. Now, once we get over here to the gravel pad, and I'm pretty sure you could see the gravel, you know, on the edge of the camera. That's not going to be the front entrance of my garage. It's pushed back. So he gave me a good little swoop basically to come in here, and I'll go down here a little ways about to where it almost drops off and levels down. But right here, I mean, you can kind of tell it's pretty deep. It don't look deep from up there on the camera, and every time I take pictures, it just does not do it justice. You really got to come out here and see it for yourself. But maybe since I'm right here and the camera's up there and you can kind of see me, then maybe you can kind of tell how deep it is. It was really a big change. I wasn't expecting this much of a dig out from my property, but that's not a bad thing. And I'm not saying it as a bad thing. Like, it makes it look really good. And right there's the pole I was talking about. And here's the entrance. There's the road. And there's the buried cable line. Now, I could put an entrance right there, and it wouldn't be as sharp as a turn as right here. But I plan on putting some kind of gate. I don't know if I'm going to put fence right here and a gate right there, or if I'm going to put fence right there and a gate right here. But see, if I put anything over there, it just makes me feel like it's too close to the pool. So I really don't know what to do. Maybe y'all can help me out with that. All right, so how big's the pad? Well, this is basically a 50 by 50 spot. Actually a little bit bigger. Yeah, I don't know if you can see it, but there's an orange line. There's an orange line that runs right through here, and it's 50 foot wide and 50 foot long. My building size is going to be a 30 by 50. To those of you who have ever bought a metal building before, you know if you get past 30 foot wide, the prices go way up like crazy, just because of the structure of how the framing of the roof needs to be. On top of the 30 foot wide building, I'm going to have an 8 foot lean-to on the back side. So that's about 38 feet this way. My building's going to sit 50 foot this way. So in front of the two doors, because I'm basically going to have a door here and a door here, and I'm going to leave about as much space as I can, which you can see he, graded out more than what he needed to. So that way I can have some concrete space, or put a concrete pad in front of the garage so I can wash off my vehicles if I just want to, sit outside on a hot day instead of, taking it in the garage and working on it. Or just, maybe I got something on the lift and then I got something in the other bay and I just need to change the oil, and I can just, roll up on the pad right there in front of the door and just change my oil lickety-split like it ain't no problem. And I asked the gentleman to grade me out a spot. Basically from that corner over there to where the orange line is, where I showed you, is a 50 by 50 spot. And any of the extra gravel that you see in front of it is just stuff that he had extra. So he just put it out in the front for me, which was nice. Now I do have a gentleman who's going to be coming and bringing me some gravel, so that way I could throw some right down through here and I can have me an entryway to this thing. For the time being, I'm going to be saving up my money to get my down payment for my garage. And down payment, we'll get into that whenever I get the building. I want to go ahead and get the gravel that leads down here, so that way I could go ahead and move all my vehicles down here and get them from out of the yard and up over there beside the double wide and basically out of the driveway, because if I'm not driving it regularly, then my wife says it needs to come down here. You got to do what makes mama happy. But I think that's enough of the pad. Let's go over here and just look at the whole thing, and then we'll get down to pricing and just talk about it a little bit. Now, one of the things that I don't like, and I guess I should have specified that, is this bank right here. You see how, kind of sharp it is? It's going to make it hard for me to mow. But, I can probably mulch it or put some rock on it and basically take care of it to where I don't have to mow it. You know, those stumps, getting rid of those, and then that stump would have been nice too. But as much as the guy's done for the amount of money that I think that I spent on it, I think, you know, I came out on the good end big time. Because I have basically, I'd say a good 5 feet, 6 feet space right there. And then you come back here, you know, there's still some trees that you can see, but a lot of the trees that Clayton pushed back in the woods, he hit a lot of them and pushed all this dirt back. I mean, I got a good, you know, 20 feet basically of yard that's going to be back here that I could put, you know, stuff back here. Now I come over here and look at all this. All this extra space. And there's going to be a door on this side that I can drive in and out and come out this way and go out in front and come out through there. So to say that I got a bigger than a 50 by 50 spot is an understatement, because when I look at this right here and I look at where the gravel's at, and the gravel basically is my 50 by 50 spot, I would say I have over 80, maybe even close to 100 foot going this way, and then going back and forth this way, just on the flat area. I probably got about 70, 75 foot, and that's not including, you know, the swoop down and everything else that he did. Right there, I would say, is a pretty good view. Now, depending on where you live, basically how flat your area is, and you know what all they have to dig out and dig around, and it all adds up to how many obstacles I guess they have along their way. From that pine tree right there down about 7-8 trees, I had about 2 small trees, about, well, 8 stumps. Well, not including that one. Maybe about 6 stumps, and then some of them were substantially large. Now they were, you know, pine tree stumps, which probably easier to get out. But, you know, with that being said, he had some obstacles. Number 2, he didn't realize there was as much dirt right here that there was going to be. So whenever he started digging, and that's one of those things that, you know, you don't really know how big a job's going to be until you start doing it. So when he started digging, he realized that there was more dirt here than what he, you know, thought. So there was a lot he had to, you know, push back, and that basically picked up where, you know, he had to grade more. When you get somebody who grades, you want to get somebody who does good work, makes it look clean, you know, doesn't leave, you know, a lot of stuff that basically is an eyesore. And the guy that I got, I mean, he done a good job. He graded everything out. He had this little tool, I guess, basically to tell the, you know, the grade of the ground and how level it needed to be. And then with what extra dirt that he had, he graded it out and smoothed it out and just pushed it out in areas. And on the ends of where the grade dropped off, he graded it like kind of down at a slope, so that way the rain could run off of it. So originally, and we'll get back to this, I asked for a 50 by 50 spot, and I needed a driveway into it, and then enough space on this side to where I could drive out, because I knew there was going to be a door on this side. The estimate that I got from that was between $5,000 to $6,000. Now, depending on if he had to do more, it was going to be on the upper 6 range. And if he had to do less, he told me he would try to keep me down towards the $5,000 range. But with all that I had here, the grading of this spot cost me $6,000. Now, that's not including the gravel. The gravel pad, he had a truck himself, went and picked up the gravel, brought it here. I believe this is 57 stone, and I'm not sure about what 57 is, but basically I think this is Crusher Run. And he had a little bit of extra gravel left over, and like I said, it's one of those things that if you get a good guy to come out and grade, then they're going to do you right no matter what. Not everybody's out there, to basically try to take all the money that you have. And he told me, he said, since you already got me out here to grade, I'll pretty much do the labor for free, and you pay for the gravel. And the gravel ended up costing me, I think it was $2,500 extra. So between the grading and the gravel, smoothing everything out, and the size pad that I have here, it cost me a grand total of $8,500. You can go bigger, you can go smaller. If you got a nice level spot to where they don't have to cut out much, grading ain't gonna cost you that much. But for what I had here, as much as they had to do, push back, work on, and it took him, between the weather and everything, I'd say about a good week to come out here and do everything. I think it was well worth what I spent for it. Honestly, I think he could have charged me more, and he just didn't. So my advice to y'all is call around. Some of these guys, I've had a few people come out here and to give me estimates on how much it would cost. I had one guy quote me $3,500, and I don't think he knew his butt from another hole in the ground. And then there was another guy that came out here, and he had a little bit more experience, and it was actually the guy that I'm going to be buying the garage off of. It's the one that he recommended, and he said that it would cost me about $7,000. So all in all, I just called a well-known grading company around my area, and they said they was months out, and they do bigger work than this. And I was like, wow, I thought this was pretty big. And he gave me the number to this guy. He came by, good Christian man. And I'm going to give him a shout out on here, Stephen Jones. He came here and he done all this work. And I think he done a fine job doing everything for me and just doing the extra stuff that he didn't have to do. You'll come to find out those people in your life that are just out to get you and the ones that are really there to help you. So with that being said, fellers, this is pretty much the end of the video. Showed you everything that's going on here at the house. I'm getting ready to get a place, and it's going to be a blessing. Amen. This has been something that I've been wanting and been praying about for a while. It took a little bit, and I'm feeling really blessed. Good Lord's blessed me a lot. Between my job, my family, my extended families on YouTube and TikTok and other social media platforms, I'm really, feeling really blessed. Hey, listen, if you want some good, wholesome content, which is basically what I'm trying to push out, or if you know somebody that wants to watch some good, wholesome content, make sure you share this out to them. Like, comment, subscribe, really helps. We're almost to 1,000 followers. I think we're lacking 225, and we'll be right there at 1,000. And we're working on this thing little by little, and we're getting her up there. I got plenty of other things lined up. I got some brake stuff for Chief that I could put on. We got the 300 sitting in the building, ready to be, tore down and took apart. We got some pieces for Todd that we can, fix up his interior and make him look a little bit better. And we got some parts that we can take off the Blue Ranger to kind of help him a little bit. And also, that extra segment, I'm going to be working on it here pretty soon. The Overhauled series, we got our first guest, and I'm going to figure out a scheduling time, maybe sometime here in the next week or so, that I can get with him and do an interview with him. And then we'll have our first Overhauled video. If you don't know what that's going to be about, it's basically people telling their overhauled stories, basically about how before their life was, before they met Jesus, and how Jesus entered in, or just how that really worked, and then how Jesus has changed their life and basically overhauled them from what they was to who they are now. It's going to be great. I hope you tune in, and I think y'all are going to like it. But with that being said, that's enough talking. I'm going to get in here to the house and possibly maybe eat me something. I know it don't look like it, but you know, I could do for some food. So remember, fellers, Jesus loves you, I love you, and we'll see y'all fellers later.